So, hey guys, I'm going to be showing you how to evaluate a retrieval augmented generation product or a RAG product, and the framework which we can use to evaluate and what are the metrics to evaluate, how to go about it, and mainly how we can read and understand what these metrics mean and understand our overall health of our RAG application. So starting off, here is a quick recap from a previous assignment or video. Uh, Movie Match, which is a RAG application I made for which recommends movies to users based on my Neo4j graph database. So let's just quickly going through it. It takes in the user input and along with LangChain, OpenAI, and Neo4j. It helps Neo4j facilitates a vector search. OpenAI and LangChain help us interact with the graph database in Neo4j. And using Streamlit, I created an entire application. And Neo4j consists of a lot of data of world cinema, and each of the overview of the movies are all embedded in an embedding, which is an OpenAI embedding, and other details as well as plot, movies, genres, etc. And when a user queries a particular movie he wants to watch, he will be able to get a list of recommended movies. So now it did give us a set of answers, as you can see here. It did give us a set of answers. And so I'm not going to go into it, but it did give us a set of answers you can see here. But we need to evaluate what it is. So I have created an entire evaluation framework on how we can go about this. And special credit goes to Mrs. Estelle, who helped me understand, who actually ran an entire RAG pipeline evaluation using Neo4j. She is the lead data scientist from Neo4j who has created metrics on top of Neo4j based RAG applications, GraphRAG applications. I spoke to her and she gave me a small snippet of her code, which I have included here as well, who helped me understand how we can evaluate RAG frameworks. So now there are many different metrics which we can use for RAG frameworks, such as faithfulness, answer relevancy, context recall, context position, context entity recall, and summarization score. So each of these have their own set of uh, explanations and what they actually mean. You can see here. Here is the entire documentation. It's called Ragas framework, and it's used for evaluate. It's an external package, and it takes into account a lot of different outputs from our RAG application to analyze what is going on inside the RAG application and how the outputs can help us understand the overall performance of our entire RAG application. So, starting off, here is a detailed notebook and a report combined. The code is also combined with the notebook. So here you can see. Let's start off what are the metrics which are used in the RAG pipeline. The answer relevancy. Answer relevancy evaluates the relevance of the generated answer to the query. And here is a formula. Here's formula. And faithfulness measures the accuracy of the generated answer in relation to the retrieved context. That is how good is it to the particular answer. And relevancy is whether the answers are actually relevant or not. And latency, of course, is how long the particular uh, question would, how long the application took to understand a natural language question and give the required answer back to the user in natural language. So now, in order to actually crunch all this data, these are the formulas which looks a bit over the head. But what is required is context, which is the user's question, the question, which is the user's question and the input to the pipeline. And so the next one is the context, what comes from the retrieval, and for example, the vector search, whatever details comes from the vector search is the context. The answer is generated by the LLM once provided with the question and the context. So the LLM, so this is one thing I learned as well in this course, which was that uh, in a RAG application, the vector search is not the final answer, but the LLM understands the vector search and changes the final natural language output which the application gives out to the user. So that is by far different, and I understood it from this analysis. And ground truth is an important aspect as well. That is the real answer that can be generated by another LLM or by human. I have stuck with different metrics which can be come up with question, context, and answer because I was not able to come up with a ground truth metric. So hence I've gone ahead with answer relevancy, faithfulness, and latency. So starting off, I have run most of the cells and kept. Here, if you have to run, give me a political thriller, and if I have to run this, here is the output I have here. So I can just run it again real quick, and it will give me the particular. I've asked it give me a political thriller, and the so this response rag is essentially the entire uh, the entire RAG application which I've used here. I've converted it to a single functionality wherein instead of an app, I can just call the function here and pass the natural language prompt, and it will give me the answer and the context as well. Answer is the final answer, and context is the intermediate step, as you can see. So now that this is run, I can now see what the answer is and what the context is. So the context is a list, and the answer is a string which is provided by the RAG application. Now let's scale it up. We saw what the overall value is. Values are, for example, is a faithfulness and relevancy. Now let's compare it and across multiple different questions. So these are a set of questions which I have asked it. Recommend a movie, I'm looking for a film, and a lot of other questions. So now if I run this, I've already run it and kept. It has gone over a particular, let's see what the metrics are. It took some time. It took about 3-4 minutes. So now here you can see that the question, the answer, the faithfulness, the answer relevancy, and latency. Let's compare this faithfulness and answer relevancy. We can see here that in some cases, like this one and this one, the answer relevancy and faithfulness are a bit low, whereas for others, it's almost like 1 and almost close to 1. But in 5 and 2, it does not seem to be the case. Let's just see why that happens. If you notice here that in question number 4, for example, I'm interested in a movie that revolves. Let's see what question number 4 is. 1, 2, 3. Question, and I'm interested in a movie that revolves around a courtroom drama. Can you help me find one? So a courtroom drama. And it says, I recommend 12 Angry Men, which is the fifth question. I recommend watching 12 Angry Men. But if we go across and see what actually this is, the fourth that is the fifth question actually consists of a set of values which have already been given. But what the answer actually is just one question, which is 12 Angry Men. Let's compare both of this. So if we print out both of it, we can see that it actually changes. It's actually different. Yeah. Hence, this is why it comes. This is why it is coming at 66%, but it's coming at 66 because of the fact that 12 Angry Men is actually available here, and hence you're not getting a much lesser score of it. So it is sort of not giving us the right answer, and this is a scope for improvement when I compare all of the particular answers for the questions I've selected. Now let's visualize the metrics. Here are the 10 questions, and I come up with a set of metrics. Analyzing the latency, we can see that it's actually on an average between 6 to 7 seconds. And for some questions, it took a lot of more time. I think this is something which we can improve on by fine tuning maybe the entire model. Now, coming to comparing relevancy and faithfulness, we saw that for questions 4, 5, and questions 7, they were not exactly the best when you compare faithfulness and relevancy of the particular question. The first question was ideal. You can see it's all close to 1, and the first and second question also the same. Whereas for this question, we took the example of the fourth question, we saw that it was not the same because of the outputs. Now coming to the final correlation matrix, which is to identify if there are any patterns available in our whether faithfulness and relevancy go hand in hand, or whether to understand the outputs. And I can see that that the correlation is almost close to being almost less than, or like a little bit greater than less than 0.6 overall. So it's not that correlated. Final conclusions are that the faithfulness score ranges from zero point 0.6 to 1. The answer relevancy, the system is effective in delivering the answers, but it can actually be a lot better and not make any mistakes. Similarly, the strengths are high accuracy and consistent relevancy, but it is overall consistent, I would say. And areas for improvement are the faithfulness, variability, and latency optimization. Like I mentioned, fine tuning and performance monitoring is something we can do. And here is a set of available resources, which are references which I've used for compiling my entire code base here. And the code and the report are all attached together, so it's all the same. And you can find more details here on my repository. Thank you.